Nico, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Good morning.
Always good to be with you, have you in our studios. Really appreciate your time. This year, it's national and provincial elections.
Okay.
Talk us through it, please.
Well, every radio station has an actual legal responsibility, by the way, to do education. And this forms part of that. It's not, you're correct, it's not a political party broadcast. If it is, then it's got to be made clear up front. But we are voting for Parliament and we're voting for the provinces.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen this year. We are not voting for the cities.
Okay.
So we got to get that particular thing sorted out. The elections will be happening after the month of May, but we do not know the exact date.
Who decides that?
Well, ultimately, it is the president who decides that, but he has guidelines within the law. So he's got a certain before date and an after date.
Okay.
He's got to stick to that. Now, we know that he has told his party to be ready by the 22nd of May.
Okay.
And we know the DA has told their party they've got to be ready by the 8th of May.
Okay.
So those are, it's
The
not
things
likely to
bear
be
in
for
mind.
those two particular dates. Well, I'm not sure if it's good news or bad news, but 357 political parties have so far registered to stand.
So it's going to be a long ballot paper.
Well, the good news is not every party is going to stand and participate in every election.
Okay.
Some of them are going to want to stand on the national ticket, in which case, when you get your national ballot, they will be on that list. But not every party will want to stand on province, because some parties are regional. So our ballots in the Western Cape will look different to the ballots in the Eastern Cape, different to Northern Cape.
Yeah.
And so nobody's really going to have to go through 350 names. Where I'm becoming concerned right now is the ballots, when there's so many names, what about people who've got poor eyesight?
Yeah.
How are they going to read that carefully, or if they in fact have no eyesight at all? So it's now becoming a much more complicated process. And that means the process of voting is going to become slower. And that's something we're going to have to deal with at this election, because it's now becoming an issue. You vote either for a political party or you vote for an independent candidate. If you're voting for a political party, there may be a name of a person, but you're voting for the party.
Okay.
You're not voting for that particular person. If you're voting for an independent candidate, you hold that candidate responsible.
Okay.
So if they do something to upset you, you contact them directly and you say, I voted for you. Why are you not doing A, B, or C? So that is what is new, and we're going to have to learn how to handle that. In terms of the national parliament, there are a total of 400 seats up for grabs, 200 of which come by direct being voted, and then some more come in from the proportional system that is applied. On the regional assemblies, there are 200 seats up for grabs, plus some proportional votes. And in the Western Cape, for instance, there are 23 seats up for grabs without the proportional.
Okay.
So that's kind of also a new thing we've got to get used to. If you want to stand as an independent candidate and you want to get into Parliament, you must get at least 90,000 votes. If you don't get 90,000 votes, you're not going to get a seat in Parliament. If you stand in a regional area, then the votes are going to be considerably fewer than 90,000, depending on which region, because if it's in the Northern Cape, it's going to be much fewer than it would be in Gauteng or in Cape Town, in the Western Cape. So that's something. But an independent candidate can only have one seat. So if they happen to stand and win on 3 different areas, they've got to dump 2 and
Oh,
take the third. So there's
interesting.
going to have to be a lot of trading after the votes are counted, because they're now going to be surplus seats, which then get allocated on the proportional. And that is new. We haven't had that before. And that's going to cause quite a few fights, because the IEC's got 7 days to sort all this out. And that's going to be interesting. Now, what are the criteria to stand as a candidate? You can't be in jail for more than 12 months.
So if you've been in jail for 11 months, that's okay.
You can still register.
Wow.
Zuma discovered the other day that he can't register because he said, I didn't spend 12 months in jail. And the IEC said, but you were supposed to spend more than 12 months in jail. And the fact that you were released as a special favor does not mean you're not subject to the law. You will not register as a candidate. You will not stand, and you will never again be the potential president of South Africa. I find that helpful. I'm hoping that rule is going to apply to all the other criminals, because they are criminals who are now trying to get back into parliament or back into assemblies. They need to be strict on that. You cannot apply to stand as a candidate if you are of unsound mind. Now, quite frankly, when you look at the utterances of those in parliament, you often wonder how we define unsound mind, and I'm not going to go down there further. You can apply if you were insolvent, provided you are rehabilitated. But if you're unrehabilitated, you can't provide. So those are the kind of guidelines for those who are trying to apply. It does cost money. You paid your deposit. If you get fewer than a certain number of votes, you can lose your deposit. So that is also something that people need to be aware of. But why vote? We need to strengthen our democracy. The problem is not that people vote or don't vote. The problem is we don't hold our leaders responsible. Now, I'm a Christian, and the Bible is reasonably clear. It says those who rule have certain responsibilities. They've got to look to see that there's justice. They've got to look to see that the vulnerable people are protected, and finds the widows, the orphans, the foreigners. We have to do that. And if the people who are in ruling authority are not doing that, then we have to speak up. So I'm not really interested in whether they're upsetting me about something stupid that they've done. But I am concerned if they're not keeping to the biblical principles. Then I do get upset. Now, I want to remind you that yesterday was the first day of school. If we go back 11 years, of every 100 pupils who started school 11 years ago, 60 are starting matric this year. 40 have already dropped out. That is not because teachers are useless. That is because we have an incompetent government who is robbing the pupils of their right to proper education. So we do have a lot of reasons why we need to vote. For the sake of our children, if for nothing else. If you don't care about other people, care about your children and your grandchildren. We cannot, of every 100 kids starting now, saying in 11 years' time, 50 are going to finally make matric. That's not an acceptable figure. We have to take voting seriously, and we do have a responsibility.
So please make sure you are registered to vote. We're not interested in finding out which party you're wanting to vote for. We're talking about exercising a hard-fought democratic right that you have, and do so with wisdom. And please, 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 please make sure that you do that. Thank you, Nico.